Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Isabel Umahi, and if you are here for the very first time, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video, and also leave a comment down below. Thank you. So I created this glam for a beauty shoot, and if you would love to see how I created this look, please do keep watching. Say hi to my lovely model. So I'm starting this look by shaping her brows. I'm going to be taking off all the excess little hairs that have overgrown. I'm just going to outline it to be perfect for me to draw my brows. And now I'm going with a micellar water in MS Cosmetics, and I'm going to be using this to clean her face. You want to have a clean canvas before you start your makeup. I'm using this badescu hydrating spray, and I'm going to be spraying it all over her face. I absolutely love hydration when I'm doing my makeup. The more hydration the better, except it's an oily skin, but my model has like a normal to combination skin, so I encourage much more hydration. And now I'm using the snail mucin from Cosrx, and this gives an extra layer of hydration. Like I said, I love hydration. The more hydration the better for me, because this helps your makeup sit way better. Like your makeup looks more skin like when you prep your face properly, and good prep to me is hydration, moisturizing properly. And I'm using this Neutrogena hydroobost and my baobab oil from R&R to moisturize her face and also seal in the moisture. First of all, I'm going to go in with the Neutrogena hydroobost moisturizer. I absolutely love this moisturizer. It's so moisturizing, it's really great. And then to seal up that moisture, I'm going in with the baobab oil. So I'm putting up that, and I'm going to use that baobab oil to seal up all the moisture. It's going to give the face a really plumpy look. Look at how plumpy and hydrated the skin already looks. And now I'm just massaging all of those products into the skin. Look at how hydrated the skin looks, so good. So now I'm going in with this brow pencil from Shopbellbeauty. Is that it? Don't worry guys, I'm going to link it down below. So this is a light brown pencil. I chose this pencil because it's light, and I feel like it blends more with her brow shade. And also because she's light skinned, I didn't want to use a pencil that would be too dark and overwhelm her face. So that's another thing when I'm choosing my pencil. I like to choose my pencil according to your shade, on the shade of your brows. Sometimes I could use more than one pencil. Sometimes I could use a darker one, a lighter one. Depends on the way your face is, your color, your colors of your brows, your hair color, all that. Today I feel like I'm doing a more detailed brow tutorial, because I'm not fast forwarding so much. I'm just showing you all the works of just one particular brow. Do not worry, I'm going to make sure I do a video showing just a brow tutorial. I am absolutely going to do that. I feel like I need to do a brow tutorial and eyeliner tutorial. I just feel like, because I feel like I don't show so much of that, so I'm going to absolutely do that. But for now, I'm just filling in with hair-like stroke. This is going to give it a more natural look. And after drawing this, I'm going in with the shade of foundation I'm going to use for her face. That's the Hudabeauty in cinnamon. And then this concealer I'm using below to highlight is the aucoin in excess and 0.04. I think that's it, in Beauty. So I'm mixing those two shades for her highlight shade. That's what I'm going to use to define her brow bone. But for the beginning of the brows, I'm going to be using the Hudabeauty, and for the top of the brows, I'm also going to be using the Hudabeauty. So I'm just going to draw it as precise as possible to make sure it's looking well highlighted, looking real nice. For the top of the brows, now I'm going in with her shade of her foundation shade. That's what I'm using to make sure it looks well defined. So you guys take your time when doing your brows, you know, till you feel like it's perfect enough for you. So, and when I'm done with that, I'm just going to be blending it out with this brush. I like to use a stiffer blending brush when I'm, you know, blending my concealer out. And I'm using this Merak cosmetic in Curry to set everywhere my foundation, my concealer is. I'm just setting the brow bone. I'm also going to be setting the top of the brows and even the brow itself. It's when I do that, I feel like it gives it a lighter feel. It looks more natural, and also it helps the brow last longer. So I just set everywhere. So do not be afraid to use setting powder on top of your brows. And after this, I'm going in with my Kamsi collection eyeshadow palette. This is in Goddess, and that particular shade is what I use for highlight. I like to call it my highlight shade. So I'm just going to use it on the brow bone, you know, to just define the highlights properly. Now I'm using this Anastasia Beverly Hills luminous foundation. So first of all, I try the foundation at the jawline. I test it to see if it blends. So now I'm feeling like it doesn't really, it's not giving me an exact shade. So now I'm adding this Hudabeauty in cinnamon and I'm mixing it. And when I mixed it and I tried it, and I felt like, yes, this was like the perfect shade. The cinnamon just gave me the yellow shade I needed. The Anastasia was a bit too pale for her, so I added something yellow. So I really feel it's like really important when doing foundation to check the undertone. Don't just apply foundation because you feel it's a color. Sometimes you check the undertone. Is person a yellow undertone? Is the person pale? You know, all those comes in play when doing your foundation, so it blends perfectly. So now I'm just blending all that foundation with my beauty blender. And now I'm applying concealer. I'm using the same concealer I used for the brows, the aucoin XS in 12, and my Born This Way, I think. Okay, no, that's not what I used for the brows. What I used for the brows was with Beauty, but this, I'm mixing the aucoin XS 12 and my Born This Way concealer in golden beige. And I'm just placing that highlight underneath her eyes, and I'm also shaping the eyes with the concealer at the side. That shape, when you blend it out, it just gives a snatched effect. That's another reason I do that. I'm applying at the forehead, the chin, the middle of the nose. So those are the parts I'm going to highlight. And now I'm going in with this black opal stick foundation in Beautiful Bronze. This is like a really warm shade, so I'm just going to be using that to contour her face. It's going to sit beautifully on her. You guys can already see that. I'm going to be contouring the sides of the face, the jawline, her forehead, and I'm also going to be using this same shade to contour her nose, the sides of her nose, to snatch that up, you know. So I'm also using this round stippling brush. Most of the brushes I'm using are from Veebeauty, you guys. So now I'm doing the contour. I'm using the stiffer blending brush to place it, and then I'm going to blend everything out with my Yglam beauty blender. So when I'm blending the contour, I always use the back, the side to blend it. For the highlight, I use the pointed part. So now I'm blending the contour, and I'm also letting the highlight sit. When it sits, it gives more coverage. You can also blend it immediately, but I like to let it sit for a bit just to give me a lot more coverage. But if I'm going for a look that I don't want coverage, and I blend it out immediately. So now I'm blending out my highlight. You all in this, please take your time to blend your highlight. Take your time, just blend it, and just with very gentle stroke. I know it looks like it's hard right now, but that's because, you know, I'm fast forwarding it a bit, but just gently tap it. Gently tap. I'm not saying sleep on the face. You guys, of course, your clients have somewhere to go to, but also gently tap it. it's going to blend perfectly, I promise you. So yeah, I'm just blend until you feel like it's skin like, you know. Keep blending, do not put your setting powder yet, keep blending. You want to have a great well blended face before you set it. I promise you, you don't want to set an unblended face. See, it would not, there is no amount of blending that would take that unblendedness out. If I can say that, seriously, if you set an unblended face, that's it. So now I'm using the Bond This Veebeauty mousse, and I'm just putting that in the inner corners of her eyes and just in the middle of her nose and just a little on the forehead, just to brighten that part up. I want it to pop out a lot more. Now I'm going in with the Eye Magic palette, and with that peachy shade, you know, it's going to serve as my cream blush, and I'm applying it at the cheekbones. I'll apply a bit at the nose, at the forehead, you know. This is going to serve as my cream blush, and it's just going to give, you know, going to give a fresh look to this entire look. So yeah, it's going to look real pretty. I'm also going to blend this all out with the same side I used in blending the contour with my beauty blender. That's the same part I'm using to blend all this out. And now I'm just blending the highlight, the concealer I put, and I'm going to blend it perfectly before I go in and set. Blend. You see what I'm doing before I blend? I always take something, yeah, on the back of my hand. That's the concealer I'm taking. There's always a little bit of product at the back of my hand. I don't just go in and blend with an empty beauty blender. Now I'm using this Kiss Beauty setting spray to spray on this entire look. It's just going to help to keep this look in place and make it last longer. Now I'm using my Laurameicer translucent setting powder, and this is what I'm going to use to set her highlight. First of all, before I set, I always going to blend. Immediately I'm about to set, I always blend, especially under the eyes, because that part creases a lot. And I'm using this pointy brush to just place that powder, and I'm placing just very little powder for now, because I'm just trying to set it first of all before I can bake. I do not go ahead and bake first. I set first before I bake. So now I'm just setting. When I'm done with setting the part I highlighted with concealer, I'm going to take a little of the powder with a powder puff, and I'm going to set the whole face by just pressing very little powder all over the face. This trick is what helps me to get in a very much long lasting effect, because I feel like the setting powder just sets the entire face and just holds it. And I'm going in with my Dabel powder palette, and I'm just using that shade. I think that's like the fourth shade in the palette. That's her perfect shade. Is that yeah, that's the fourth. So that's a perfection. I'm just going to be placing it all over her face, except the part I highlighted, and you know, I highlighted as under her eyes, the middle of her nose, her forehead. Yeah. So, but the rest part of her face, I'm going to be setting every other part with the powder. And I'm using my MAC mineralized powder in dark deep, and I'm going to be using this as my bronzer. So I'm just going to be placing it on the part that I contoured and even, you know, applied cream blush. I'm just going to be placing it there. It will serve as a bronzer, and it's just going to give a pretty finish to this entire look. I'm also going to be using it though to also set the nose contour. Yeah, so now that's what I'm doing. So I'm making the contour more obvious and I'm setting it. with this, and I'm taking it to the beginning of the brows. And now I'm using my Morphe palette, and that last shade there is a contour shade, it's not a bronzer. There are two bronzers in this palette, and the last one is usually a contour shade. The contour shades are usually not warm, they're kind of grayish, and I'm just going, see the way I'm holding my brush, I'm making it to be kind of flat. If you have a flatter brush, you use that, but I'm making my brush flat so that it's just giving me that one line. So I'm making, like, there's usually a natural contour line in that part of every one of our faces, so I'm just going in that particular natural contour line. I'm just placing that contour shade there. So now you can go ahead and bake all you want. Now I'm baking, you know, under the eyes. I'm going to snatch the face with in this process as much as I can snatch it. As much as I can snatch it, you guys. So I'm just baking. And this powder is also going to help in catching whatever fallout, if we have any fallout though. So I'm using my powder puff to bake. You can also bake with a beauty blender, but I just feel like I love to use my powder puff to bake. And for the side of the face, I'm using another shade of powder. I'm using the Merak Cosmetic in Curry because it's kind of yellow, so I'm using the yellow powder to, you know, snatch the side of the face. So now I'm using my Tara eyeshadow base. So this is going to serve as my base and my primer for my eyeshadow. Going in with my Morphe eyeshadow palette in 3502. I'm using those two colors and mixing them to create a transition shade. So I'm using this as a transition color, and I'm going to be blending this with a fluffy blending brush. So I'm just blending the corners of the eyes first of all before I will go all over. I'm going to take it down to kind of the beginning of the brows. Yeah, but first of all, I like to put in a whole lot more color in the corners of the eyes when creating my transition, but I'm going to blend it down. So when choosing transition color, I like to go with warmer tones. And now I'm using that dark brown from the same palette with another blending brush. This brush is more pointy. I like to use a more pointy brush when doing the contour for the outer corners of the eyes because it just gives me a more precise effect when blending. So I'm just going to be blending the outer corner, and I'm going to be taking it down to the crease, but I'm going to make sure it's not going over my transition color, like it's not going to go on like over it, above it. Yeah, it's just going to be below it or at the side it is. So now I'm using that same brown color, that dark brown, or I think I'm going with the darker brown, and I'm just going to be using it underneath the eyes. I'm going to be blending that underneath the eyes to create like a smoky effect. This is my Hudabeauty eyeshadow palette. I really don't know the name of this palette, but I'm going to link it down below. So I'm just using that first shade. I'm using my finger because I feel like it blends eyeshadow properly. I don't know why, but I feel like it warms up the eyeshadow when it's blended, so it just gives it a real nice blend. So I'm just using my fingertips to, you know, blend that shade on the lid. Yeah, just on the lid, on the eyelid. I'm going over to the eyelid and blending it. And then I think that's the fourth shade in this palette. It's very warm, and I'm just blending in that part I applied the transition. Going back in with my dark brown. Yeah, I'm just using, I think I used 3 shades of dark brown. Just mix those 3 dark brown because I just want the outer corner to just be more defined and more darker. so I'm just using it. First, when I'm contouring the outer corner, I'm creating like a C or a V effect first of all, then I'll blend it. And now I'm using my MacBook pencil. This is a black pencil, and I'm just drawing a line at the outer corner of the eyes. I'm just drawing a line, a short line at the outer corner of the eyes. And now with my Kamsi collection goddess palette, this black in the palette, any black eyeshadow works, guys, a matte black eyeshadow though, and I'm going to use it to smudge out that line I created. You see how I'm smudging it out? I'm just blending and I'm smudging it out to create like an exaggerated liner. And now I'm blending with the same brush that I used in applying the brown. I'm blending that line. Going in with my peaches and cream pigment, this is in Gatsby. I'm just going to be applying it on the inner corners of the eyes as a highlight. It's just to make that part pop out a bit more. And now using my gel liner in Inglot 77, I'm going to be lining the eyes. You guys know I already created an exaggerated liner at the outer corner, so I'm not going to be drawing a winged liner. I'm just going to be drawing a line. I didn't try to make the line too perfect because you know, it's not, I'm not doing a wing line or anything. I'm just making the line look nice for when I put my lashes on. And now I also line below, like the waterline. And after doing that, I'm just smudging it out also with a black eyeshadow. It's difficult for her to look up when I'm lining, so I was not able to line properly. That's another reason I'm actually smudging, so I can emphasize that darkness with the shadow. And now I'm using my Zaron lengthening, I think this is the lengthening of the voluminizer, I'm not sure, mascara to apply mascara on her eyes. And I use this Wynk lashes in Saint Ola, and I apply this. What do you think about these lashes? I kind of really do like these lashes. I'm not really the type that goes for long lashes, but I like this. And I'm dusting up that setting powder using my setting powder, the Laurameicer, but mostly I'm dusting off all the black shadows, all the fallout. First of all, I'm dusting it all out. And now I'm applying powder. I'm using her shade of powder to also dust up all those powders I used in baking and all that, and whatever is left of it. So I'm just giving it a nice blend using this Sephora powder. That's what I'm going to use to blend out the setting powder under her eyes. So I'm just going to blend it out, giving it a really nice finish. I'm using this same mascara to apply on her under eyelashes. I'm just going to be doing one coat. As you can see, her eyes are really unstable. I'm using those two blushes from this Morphe palette, and I'm just going to be applying it on the apples of her cheek. I'm just dusting, using this blush to dust off and create also a nice blend with the under eye powder. I just try to make sure it blends in with the powder so there's no demarcation. And now I'm setting and taking off all the powder with my setting spray. This is the Cosrx again. I love this spray. Using my Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid glow in Perla, I'm going to be using this, and I'm just going to be using it to create a nice highlight on top of that blush. Yes, so this will serve as my base highlight. I'm also going to still use a powder highlight, but this is going to serve as a base highlight. It's going to help the highlight look more skin like, a lot more dewy, and it's also going to help it pop a lot better. That's why I love to do this. And I'm using that the yellow bronzer or highlighter, the yellow highlighter from this palette. You can see it, and I'm just using it to set that liquid highlight. Now I'm going it with my Taj Mahal. This is the NARS Taj Mahal blush. I love this blush so much, and I'm using this just on top of the other blushes, and to blend this highlight also. It's going to give a nice flush. I love this look so much, you guys. So I'm so sorry guys, I need to apologize. I thought I was filming the lips for this look, and when I looked at the camera it wasn't filming. I was so disappointed. I really wanted to film it for you guys, but do not worry, I'm still going to film something like this for you. So the hairstylist, which is Lee's signature, finished up the hair, and this is the final look. I hope you guys loved this look, and I hope you learned something, a thing or two. I enjoyed filming this look for you all. Please do leave a comment, and do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. See you in my next video. Mwah.